Hi guys, today I'll be teaching you how to make 3D appliques with crepe material. This is my crepe material. That's what I'll be using. And then this is my invisible erasable pen. These are the patterns I'll be using to sketch on the material. This is my cutter to cut my copper wire, and then my gum, my copper wire using size 0.5 mm, and then we have the cup chain that I'll be using to embellish the 3D applique, and of course my scissors. So let's head straight to the tutorial. So first you have to make sure that the surface you're using for ironing is flat. So iron the fabric, making sure it's smooth without any wrinkle, because you wouldn't want your 3D appliques to look squeezed up and not smooth. So when you're done ironing, you're going to lay the fabric flat. And then proceed to pick up your paper patterns, place them on the fabric and trace it out with your fabric pen. So this is how, if you are not comfortable holding it down with your hands, you can pin it to the fabric and then you sketch it out. Make sure you get to the exact shape of the pattern that you've already made with the paper. Ensure to sketch out every corner so you can have a defined look. This is how the first pattern looks. So you can proceed to sketch as many patterns on the fabric as you desire, the numbers of petals you would want for the 3D applique. Once you've done that, we will head to the next step. This step is where you will need this kind of glue that have a tiny tip. So I'm going to go with this glue and apply it round the lines, like on top of the lines that I've sketched on the fabric. So guys, when you're doing this, if it's a fabric that have a face, ensure that the face is not where you're applying the glue on, or it's not where you're sketching on. Ensure that the face is at the other end while you're sketching on the back of the fabric, or while applying the gum, as the case may be. So apply the gum gently and carefully along the lines that you sketched. Apply it to at least 3 to 4 of the patterns before you proceed to the next step. Some fabric glues or glue take time before you can apply something on it. Like this one, for example, I had to wait for like 5 minutes after applying it on fabric before installing or placing my copper wire on it. So ensure that you give it some time before placing your copper wire on it. So guys, this is how you're going to place your copper wire. There are different ways you can apply your copper wire, but this is one of the ways that you apply the copper wire. Ensure that the copper wire is directly on the glue, and if you see that it's not sticking properly, you have to leave the gum for a while to thicken up before you apply the copper wire so that it can stay. So ensure that wherever there is a sharp edge, you bend the copper wire to give it that sharp effect. Guys, be very careful and gentle, as this is one of the toughest things to do when creating 3D appliques. When you've gone around the pattern with the copper wire and you get to the other end, cut the excess out and stick it down like so. And then repeat the same thing for all of the petals that you have sketched out on the fabric. So guys, I'm done applying the copper wire to all the petals that I've drawn on the fabric, and the next step is for me to layer hemming gum. Yes, it's to layer hemming gum on the petals that I have, sketched out and glued copper wires on. So when you're layering hemming gum on the patterns, ensure that the hemming gum sits side by side, that there is no space between them, as this will affect the result of your appliques at the end of the day. So guys, I'm done layering the hemming gum on the sides that I've applied copper wire. I'm just going to go ahead and cover it up with a second layer of fabric, ensuring that the face of the fabric is what is outwards, like so. And then I'll proceed to cover it up with another layer of fabric, and then use my steaming iron to press and steam it properly, ensuring that the hemming gum I used melts very well in between the fabric to make it stick together properly. I'm going to steam iron it part by part, ensuring that I iron it in one direction. Whenever you are ironing your applique panel, ensure you iron in one direction. Do not press or iron it like you're ironing your regular garments. Press in one direction. If you notice that the extra fabric you laid on top before ironing is hindering the heat from penetrating the fabrics to melt the hemming gum, kindly remove it, but be careful not to stain the applique while pressing it directly with your steaming iron. Steam for as long as you think is needed for the hemming gum between the fabrics to melt into them and stick them together. And then the next step we are going to take is to proceed to cut out the petals. Cut them out section by section if that is what you did, and you can also cut them out one by one, whichever way is easy for you. Just ensure not to cut into the petal while doing this. So here I'm done cutting section by section. I'll proceed now to cut them one after another. While doing this, ensure that you do not cut too close to the copper wires, like where the copper wires are glued to, so that when you are working with the appliques, the wires don't come out. So you give it at least 1/4 of an inch gap before the wire and then cut out. This is how they looked like. If you notice that they have rough edges, proceed to use lighter to burn the edges, but if the edges are clean enough, then there is no need for lighter. So I'll be going ahead now to glue the cup chains to it, and if you want to bead it, you can bead it as well. So this is the glue I normally like to use when applying cup chains or rhinestones to any fabric, because it is one of the best you will get in the stores. So apply the glue gently round the edge of the applique. Ensure that it's on a straight line so that when you attach or apply the cup chain on it, it can be straight, because you wouldn't want some glue to be outside of the cup chain. I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward the whole process because it's quite a slow thing to do. So I'll apply to at least 3 of these petals, then proceed to place cup chains starting from the first one, because this glue requires that after applying it on fabric, you wait for some minutes before placing either your stones or your cup chain on it for it to stick properly. Do not do the mistake of applying cup chains directly on glue immediately after applying the glue on fabric, because it will not stick and it can make a mess of your fabric. So guys, here is how you are going to place your cup chain on the petals. You start by placing it on one side, starting from the exact tip or edge of the petal, and then you place it and press it down. When you get to the other tip, you have to cut it out because the cup chain cannot bend to give it that sharp edge. So you will cut it and then proceed to place it all over again, starting from the sharp edge. I noticed it doesn't have enough glue there, so I had to reapply, and then place it like so. Make sure that the tip is close to the tip of the first one so that it can give that sharp edge effect. If your petal does not have sharp edges, it's quite fine to follow it as it is, and then press it all the way down to the other end and cut it out, and then ensure that the edges or the tips are kissing each other, like they are touching each other. So I'm going to repeat this process for all the petals, and then voila, we'll have our 3D appliques. So guys, here are all the petals that I made. I want to tack them in three pieces each. So here I'm going to use invisible thread and my beading needle to tack them in 3 pieces, like 3 per piece. This is how I want the placement to be. So I'll proceed to tack like so. See, you can see how neat, flat and firm the 3D appliques are. So guys, we've come to the end of this tutorial. This is the last part, just trying to secure the thread, and then we are done. So here it is. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please kindly subscribe to this channel, and if you have questions, kindly send them to our comment sections and your questions will be responded to. See you in the next tutorial. Bye.